All right, I'm in Guatemala, country number 56. It's been a while. It's the time of COVID, as you can see by my mask. I have just landed and I need water. My Airbnb host told me that there's a supermarket on the PB level, which I have no idea what that means. This looks promising. Does any of this look like a market? Max Kiosco, maybe? I don't know. As is tradition, I am, of course, a bit lost, and I have to find my way. I'm really thirsty. My flight coming in here was maybe the second worst flight I've ever been through. And yeah, dude, I have no idea where to get some water. All right, I used my terrible Spanish to eventually find my way to a supermarket, and I managed to find some water. In Spanish, it's agua pura. Yeah, agua pura. Shopping for things that you need is always a stressful experience internationally in any language. I mean, you pick out some English words here and there, but it's never really necessarily enough. So, what's one to do? Oh, there's mosquito repellent. Do I need that? I don't know. My week's getting started off all right. I've settled into my Airbnb. I realized in previous vlogs I haven't really talked much about my living situation. I've only been here 24 hours and I've already made the place a hot mess. But if we're looking at my little studio setup here, this sort of whole deal, nice little couch, TV, bed, washer dryer combo, and bathroom with shower and toilet and my dirty clothes. It was only about like $15-20 a night to stay here. So for the week, with Airbnb fees and everything, living here for the week was about like $200. If you want to extend that scale to a month's rent, it's about $800 for rent. But to make it more complicated, Airbnb will generally possibly give you a discount if you stay somewhere for a month. It's really up to the host, and you have to kind of do a little bit of a hunting around. Today is not really necessarily a busy day for me in terms of going out to travel. I've got some work to do. I've got my personal laptop here and my work laptop underneath. Drinking some, I already drank all my Guatemalan coffee. And so the water is and isn't safe to drink here. So I bought this 8-liter jug of water, so heavy that the handle broke, and it didn't cut my hand, but. All right, so first impressions of Guatemala. The temperature, well, I'm here in June, and it's moderate. It's cool. It's a little windy, as you can probably see here. Folks in Guatemala are like, at least in the apartment complex that I'm staying, everyone has wanted to kind of strike up a conversation in the elevator, and it's been very strange to me. Also, there's very, very, very little, almost non-existent English here. That's been a little difficult for me to get around and communicate what I want. But yeah, it's been interesting. I go into the elevator at my apartment complex, and like folks just try to strike up conversations with me, like buenos tardes, buenos dias, et cetera, et cetera. And my Spanish just isn't really good enough to have conversations. So at least Guatemalan folks in the zone that I happen to be living in strike me as pretty friendly. There is a movie being shot over there, it would seem. I don't know, some production behind the trees. And I'm eating breakfast or brunch before I have to run to a work meeting over here at a place called Nietes, which is a highly rated brunch place. I also live really close to the airport, so no flying my drone from the apartment at all. I don't want to take down a plane. Not my thing. A lovely morning in Guatemala. You know, I was originally worried that the week would be full of lightning and thunderstorms and everything, but it's been quite nice. I'm walking like a block or two away to this well-rated restaurant, and trying to eat some local food. ¿Y aquí? ¿Cuánto? Oh. So this place is pretty dope. The prices are... Oh!
Ketchup, picante, chile.
Picante, por favor. Sí, sí, sí.
Chimichurri.
Por favor, sí.
Cebolla.
Sí, por favor. So I'm getting this like mega sandwich for 25 Guatemalan quetzals, which is like about $3. The thing is like massive. It's like definitely over a foot long, maybe a 2 foot long sandwich. But it was the most expensive thing on the menu, so you know, of course, I had to give it a go. It's really interesting. You see people kind of walking in and out, like trying to sell stuff off of some key rings. Like gums and like little keychains and stuff like that. We got a lot of hustlers here in Guatemala. All right, so I got that sandwich from that local spot that was well rated, and you know, the way they sealed it in a really interesting way. The guy had the grill, and unfortunately I didn't catch it on video. What ended up happening is like he literally like kind of folded this plastic over and put it on the grill to seal it. That was kind of interesting. This is all like $3, by the way. Like all of the materials that are in here. Oh, this bread is crispy. Looks like we've got some guac, some cheese, some egg, lots of meat, tons of sauces, and I'm gonna take a first bite in a bit. So they got it kind of this like spiced hot dog in there. The bread is good. They kind of have, they got the guacamole, but there's almost like a good kick of lime in there, along with this sort of spiced hot dog business. And I don't know if the microphone is picking this up, but this bread is like crispy on the outside and bready on the inside. This is why it's so hard to keep my weight down when traveling. All right, so I know that I found a really legit, traditional, authentic Guatemalan place to try out some really good food. The owners actually asked me not to kind of reveal the name of this place or like show the area because they're actually scared of it being overrun by tourists, and they want it to be, you know, still kind of low-key underground for locals. So I feel super lucky that I'm here. And they said I could take pictures of the food and take videos of that, but yeah, I can't really talk about where I'm at, but you know, we'll have a good authentic Guatemalan experience. All right, I want to talk about what I'm eating here because I'm eating it so fast that it'll already be done by the time I want to talk about it. So, this is the Sarong Maya, and this is really interesting. It's kind of got this like bitter melon here with some really kind of spicy red sauce, and this beef is bathed in it. And then on my other plate, this is more like a milky corn sauce. It's almost like a cream. And then on here is a sauce made from cacao chocolate, and they put chicken in it. And both of these are just really, really, really good. Oof. I haven't had anything like it that I can think of. All right, I found myself in the Guatemalan city, Mercado de Centrale. And here's kind of what it looks like. It's really quiet in here. But this kind of reminds me of the underground markets that I ran into in the Philippines. It was kind of cool little shopping experience. All right, so it's more or less my last meal in Guatemala. I'm at a place called Sublime Guatemala, and I guess the chef who works here previously worked at Alinea in Chicago. So I'm actually kind of interested to see if he kind of takes whatever he's learned from Alinea and brings it over into the cuisine that's offered here. Supposedly, from what I've read, it's an interesting take on some traditional Guatemalan food, and they also kind of try to look into what the future may hold. All right, so this is pretty cool. I'm going to get the chef's tasting menu, and we're going to kind of go through different cool events that have happened in Guatemalan history over the last 200 years. Yeah. So, as we kind of go through the history of Guatemala over the last 200 years since they declared independence from Spain, I guess each of the 12 dishes in the tasting menu will represent sort of some interesting event. Unfortunately, my Spanish isn't too good, so I will have to translate.
This is the first dish.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you the name in Spanish and then in English, okay?
Okay.
This one is Que Viva la Independencia. Is like hooray the independence.
Okay.
So our independence was a little bit shy. We separate from Spain, and instantly we become a country with Mexico. We spent like 2 years together. And then when we separate from Mexico, the Republic of Central America was created, when all the Central American countries were just one country.
Okay.
We spent 20 years like that.
Okay.
And then each one started to separate from each other until we became the Republic of Guatemala.
Okay.
So we want to put here some of the like influence of the three independence we have.
Okay.
So we have these onions in saffron, representing Spain.
Okay.
Then we have this sauce made of tomato and chipotle, and then we deshydrate it. That's why it's like a paper, representing Mexico. And then we have this avocado with black salt and fresh cheese from here, representing Central America, because it's an ingredient that we can find in all Central America. And in the middle we have this like paper made of corn, representing Guatemala. So we want to invite you to grab the brush, the painting brush, and with this ink of blueberries, we want you to like put your initials or your sign representing this independence.
Okay.
And then you can put all the ingredients on the corn toast.
Okay. All right.
And you can put all the ingredients in the way you like on the corn toast.
Okay.
Because it's not more like Guatemalan that here we call it tostada con guacamole and salsa roja.
Okay.
It's a really traditional dish from here.
Okay. So this comes on here like this, and just this guy will work as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And now you can eat it.
Okay.
I hope you enjoy it.
Gracias.
Welcome.
All right, so that's the end of the experience, and I have to admit it's definitely top 20, maybe even top 10 restaurants that I've been to in my life in the world so far. You could tell that the owners and the people who came up with the concept really care about telling a story of the history of Guatemala through food. I got to talk with him for a little bit. He was mentioning as they were coming up with the concept for the restaurant, he kind of found that most Guatemalans, I guess, aren't necessarily proud of their country or don't really know where they came from or the whole history around it. And so the presentation, the tastes, everything was like perfect. And weirdly enough, I feel like if you want a good intro to Guatemala when you come to the country, this is maybe one of the first restaurants you should come to. And if you come here first, then maybe as you explore Guatemala, you will appreciate it on a deeper level and be able to ask even more meaningful questions and have deeper insights into the country as you go around. It's kind of a shame that this is the last restaurant that I went to, but I'm so happy that I stumbled upon this nonetheless. Thank you so much, Sublime Guatemala, and I wish I could come back. All right, Guatemala, country number 56 is over. What are my final impressions of Guatemala? Guatemala is really interesting to me. One thing that I noted in particular is how polite everyone seemed to be. In a weird way, is kind of in contradiction to this message that is portrayed that Guatemala is kind of a possibly violent, dangerous spot. Maybe it's the area that I happen to be in Guatemala City in Zone 4, but it's kind of strange to me that there's this duality of people being extremely polite and nice and talkative and friendly, and then the dark side of Guatemala, that it is also a very dangerous place potentially, and you should kind of keep your wits about you. I find that very interesting. Another thing that I've kind of learned about Guatemala since I was here is that I guess a lot of people don't necessarily have like strong pride or knowledge about their history and where they come from. At least that's the message that I got when I was going on my tour through Antigua, and when I was eating at the chef's tasting menu at the really nice restaurant. I happened to be here at kind of a rainy, thunderstormy time, so I didn't get to explore as much as I would have liked to, if that's not the story of my life. But also, weirdly enough, once again, I felt oddly discouraged from freely exploring because of this overarching message of Guatemala being dangerous that was kind of hammered into my head. The food here was excellent. Guatemala has a bit of a history, having a lot of Mayan heritage. For like 2 years they were part of Mexico. Spain was here. There's actually even influences from China that came into here, and it is kind of reflected in the cuisine that you eat here. It's all really unique and oftentimes very flavorful. Getting around Guatemala was a bit difficult because there is definitely a larger language barrier here. I barely ran into anyone who spoke any English. I mean, there was 1 or 2 people. If I didn't happen to know Spanish, I would probably be in a much more difficult position. Would I live in Guatemala? I honestly can't answer that. I couldn't really get a firm read on it, either way. Things were inexpensive. The people that I met were friendly. I feel like I could build out a friend network here, but once again, I just don't know around how safe or unsafe it would be to live here, and I don't know if I'd be necessarily comfortable with this like looming anxiety or unease of something bad or something violent happening after hours or in the evening or walking down a wrong neighborhood on accident. So with that, thank you very much, Guatemala. Gracias, and until next time.
Muchísimos países hay bellos en el mundo, muchísimos países dignos de admiración, pero mi Guatemala, querido amigo mío, mi linda Guatemala no tiene parangón. Dios derramó su gracia en mi patria querida. Al fin supremo artista su don manifestó. Con miles de colores embelleció el paisaje, con miles de luceros su cielo iluminó. Cómo se llena de gozo el alma mía cuando pronuncio su nombre con fervor. Oh Guatemala, risueña patria mía, permite que pregone tu hechizo y tu candor. Esos volcanes que apuntan hacia el cielo, testigos mudos de tu pasado sol. Tus lagos son azules, tus ríos anchurosos, y hablando de mujeres son puro corazón. De todo hay en mi tierra, de todo aunque en pequeño, lugares pintorescos bañados por el sol. Amigo mío, mi patria es un ensueño, y en este rinconcito soñado nació. Cómo se llena de gozo el alma mía cuando pronuncio su nombre con fervor. Oh Guatemala, risueña patria mía, permite que pregone tu hechizo y tu canto.